School District. My name is Schneider, and I'm a high school teacher here. I'm also a member of the Winooski Educators Association, and I serve as the vice president. We are so pleased to be hosting this event, and we welcome you to our school campus. Please note that food and drink are not allowed in this space. You can eat and drink anywhere else on our campus, but we keep this space nice for our students, so please respect that. If you need the bathrooms, they are right through those doors in the lobby. Last year, we in the WEA joined the community here in Winooski to push for and pass a sanctuary schools policy. This movement building engaged many in our community and brought us together to let the board know that we support our immigrant students and all people who are vulnerable in this time of ICE raids and other attacks. The Trump administration may be spreading fear, but we are building solidarity and people power. We will stand with the most vulnerable and say, enough is enough. Today's conference is about all of us, the people. We are here to organize together, to break bread, to learn from each other, to celebrate our victories, and to plan our next moves. The People's Summit is a coalition of unions and social organizations gathered together, currently called May Day Strong Vermont. You can find the full list of organizations and unions involved in your flyer. Today, we'll start with a panel before moving into a breakout session, lunch, and then more breakout sessions, ending with dinner. You can find all the details and times, again, in your program flyer. I have a few announcements before we start our panel. The first is about the meeting of Vermont May Day Strong. It is on November 11th at Migrant Justice. If you want to help plan May Day and be involved in other ways, you should attend. The second announcement is a call for donations. Today's summit is completely free. There will be donation buckets at registration and passed in the auditorium. The money will go to the Green Mountain Labor Council to pay for the cost of the conference and for seed money for May Day 2026 and other labor and social movement protests. If you have funds to contribute, please do. The other announcements are about childcare and prayer. Childcare is available in the cafeteria. Two of our wonderful Winooski students who have a lot of experience with kids are here to take care of our kids, which is wonderful. Room 157, which is that way, is a non-denominational prayer space. Now let me introduce our panel. Our panelists today are from a variety of local organizations and are speaking to how we are collectively building the resistance to Trump and his policies. Our first panelist will be Claire Whitehouse from UVM Staff United. Followed by Abel Luna from Migrant Justice. Erin Carter from Vermont National Educators Association. And ending with Jayna Ahsaf from FreeHer. Thank you, panelists, for coming, and thank you, audience, for listening. We will not have time for questions in this session. Each panelist will speak for 6 minutes before passing the mic. Please give a warm round of applause to our panelists.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claire Whitehouse. I do social science research at the Center for Rural Studies at UVM, and I'm co-president of UVM Staff United. So, the Trump administration began targeting higher education its very first week in office. This isn't surprising. Anyone who's studied the history of the 20th century knows that every fascist regime comes for universities as one of their first targets. The lever they're using in this attack is federal research grants. And their bogeymen are DEI and Palestine activism. Their goal is to scare university administrators into doing their dirty work for them. Their dirty work is to shutter DEI programs, to fire workers and expel students who speak on Palestine, and to end trustworthy science that aims to reduce bias, especially on climate change and health equity issues. So, in some ways this is clarifying, right? Because as unions, what we do is put pressure on our bosses. And because the Trump administration is putting pressure on our bosses from one direction, it's on us to put pressure from the other. Our labor at universities gives us the power to pressure our administrators to stand up against these attacks and to push back against their complicity when it happens. That, in addition, the fact that Trump is attacking higher ed directly and coming in many cases for our jobs, especially research-funded jobs, makes it easier to do political speech as unions in this moment. Because it's easy to explain to our members why we're standing up against the federal government. They're attacking us directly. They've taken people's jobs from our union. At UVM, the transition to a new federal administration happened at the same time as a leadership transition at the university. This year we started with a new president, a new chief financial officer, and the old HR lead left right at the beginning of this academic year. So, Ellen Wu's in the background. When the Trump administration first started, we had an interim president, right? And so there was a little bit of navigating the power dynamics of our own university at the same time as we try to push back against these attacks. The new president, who began in July, she's braver and shrewder than our past administration, and this makes her a different kind of opponent, right? She's a lot smarter, frankly, and a better communicator. We believe her values to be in the right place, at least when it comes to academic freedom, but the proof will be in the pudding, and the pudding's not done yet. We're not taking anything for granted. Throughout the past 10 months, cross-campus solidarity has been essential, the same way it has been before the Trump administration, right? In some ways, we're not inventing the wheel here. And the experience our unions had about a year ago when UVM threatened the quality of our health insurance, we banded together. And that gave us experience working with each other that we jumped on when the Trump administration came into power. Collaboration is not easy, right? But it's necessary, right? And it requires that we navigate as different unions representing different constituencies, differences of perspective, priorities, tactics, and communication is important. It's essential, but our solidarity has to happen, right? It's not an option. So just to go over some things we've done together as campus unions. In February, 4 of our unions came together along with students and had a rally, saying we protect ourselves and calling on the administration to make some proactive moves to protect immigrant community members and queer and trans community members. This rally resulted in a meeting with the interim president. Again, we were navigating this gap of power, and the administration really didn't cede to our demands, right? We then came together in July to fight back against an internal policy at UVM that would require, I don't need to get into all of it. It was requiring everyone to show their papers proving their family relationships in order to keep their family on their health insurance. And again, it was very clear to our members the way that our bosses asking for our papers connected with these federal issues, right? And that fight against the internal policy, we connected back to what's going on federally. And this summer-long campaign, which we won, built significant structure and collaboration between our unions that now we're using for the next fight, which is to stand up against, pressure our administration to stand up against this loyalty oath that the Trump administration is trying to get all higher ed institutions to sign, which would basically make research funding conditional on ideological loyalty. We're building the expectation that UVM won't sign, and we're planning a rally to coordinate with other rallies across the country to say, higher ed's not going to stand for this. The most important piece of this, too, like one of our main asks as we go into this in the next month, is pushing our administrators to think like organizers, right? And band together with other institutions of higher ed in coalition to stand up against this. So we have a lot of experience, we have a lot to offer, we know how to work together, we know how to build solidarity, and we can teach that to our bosses as well, and stand up against this together. Thank you.
Migrant Justice team to come up here and give me a hand. Buenos dias, good morning, every single one of you. My name is Luna, and I'm an organizer with Migrant Justice. Just very briefly, for those of you that don't know about Migrant Justice, it's a non-profit organization started by migrant farm workers in the state of Vermont, and it's led by migrant farm workers to this day. And the goal and the mission of Migrant Justice is to, come together, bring our community together, so that together we can, we can plan together, we can learn and educate ourselves and take collective action to change the reality and the conditions that that people are facing, whether that's on a farm, on a construction site, or on a restaurant. And that's important, because that's the only way that we can fight against unfair policies and unfair regimes, just like the Trump administration. As we've seen, our communities, not just the migrant community, but all communities, or all of our communities are under attack. People getting detained, families being separated, children being taken away from their families, their parents, some people disappearing in the immigration system. It's really hard to find people. That has been our experience since Migrant Justice was started. It's nothing new. Detentions, deportations, separation of families is nothing new here in the state of Vermont. But this is why we need to continue to come together. This is why we organize. This is why we need to have a sound plan and a sound strategy so that we can take that collective action and, together, we can change things around. And we've seen that, coming together, in coalition and fighting back. We've seen a lot of people being, have been released from prison, from ICE, from detentions. Dozens of our community members, are back home with their families, and unfortunately, a lot of people, we haven't been able to get them out, but that is why we're here. There's a quote by one of our members that said, we came out of the shadows, and we're not going to go back there. We've won we had multiple victories, and in times that were even more difficult, in times where there was a lot more repression to our communities, and so we know how to win. We know, how to take on the streets, and this is why we're, exactly the reason why we're on this space, because we need to build something stronger, something that goes just beyond one organization or two organizations. We need to build a collective movement, for the future, not just to resist Trump, whatever Trump is doing, but there will be more and more and more people just like him, and we need to build something stronger. So I really want to give a huge shout out to the people that put this together, because it's really hard, as you can see, to get the working class out of work. People are, struggling, surviving, trying to, keep their head above water, barely making ends meet, trying to pay rent, trying to put food on our table. And sometimes it feels like another meeting and another gathering of, another conversation is not the solution. And that's exactly what the people that feel that they're in power, that's exactly what they want us to feel. They want the migrants against the non-migrant fighting each other. They want, white people against people of color fighting each other. And that we played into that for a really long time. And enough is enough. And I say that because this time it's different. It sounds different. It feels different. Things hurt differently than they did before. Everything is a risk, not just your neighbors, not just your healthcare system or the education system. The very basic human rights, to speak up and live your voices. That is a risk. And if we don't, put our differences, our really small differences that we have as working class people to the side, we're not going to get anywhere. So we've seen this pattern, the simple fact of raising up and speaking up and telling the side of their story, the side of your story, your experience can land you in prison, can land you in jail 30 or 40 years. We've seen that with the brothers and sisters in Ecuador, that are being killed right now. This is a pattern, not just in the US, but across the world. Our rights are under attack, our democracy is under attack, the most basic human rights are under attack. So we have a huge opportunity to not fuck this up. Really. Let's get to work. Let's put our differences to the side. And it's time to build something stronger, something different, something for the long haul. Si se puede. Si se puede. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Good morning. Can we all hear me? Yes. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start by thanking the organizers of this incredible special event today with a shout out to the Winooski EA for hosting us all. I am Erin Carter, and for the past 22 years, I've taught math at Spalding High School in Barrie. And I saw at least one former student here today so far, so I'm going to say roll tide. I am a proud member and vice president of the largest union in the state, the Vermont NEA. My fellow 13,000 members and I are also members of our local union. Mine is the Barrie Educators Association and the 3 million strong National Education Association, the largest union in America. A week ago, more than 7 million people from across the country and many more across the globe took to the streets in a peaceful day of solidarity against our wannabe dictator and king. People from all political parties, all walks of life, and all ages said no to kings and yes to America. It was extraordinary. Ordinary people making a powerful statement that is terrifying to those in power. As a union, we were proud to stand shoulder to shoulder, declaring that all people are created equal, that they are endowed with certain unalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. These words are nearly 250 years old, and they ushered in the American Revolution. But taken alone, they are only words. It took nearly a decade of armed conflict and intense organizing to achieve independence, and it has been messy, violent, heartbreaking work keeping that freedom. Democracy is never a given. It must be cherished, protected, and exercised regularly, or else it devolves in what we're beginning to see today. Concentration of wealth, a disregard of the people among those that govern, and the lying, cheating, subservient supporters of an elected president who views himself more as king than as a fellow citizen. I pledge here today to pick up that mantle. And I'm fortunate enough to belong to a union that fights for our rights. At the bargaining table, at the workplace, at the ballot box, and in the halls of power. My union, which is almost 175 years old, and my fellow members fight like hell for each other and for all working people. We're involved in electoral politics, throwing support behind those politicians who vow to work on behalf of ordinary people and not suck up to the powerful. We're involved in shaping policy from the classroom to the workplace to protections that ensure that no one is denied human dignity or the rights guaranteed by the Constitution, including receiving a first-class education. My union fought for the rights of educators and others to collectively bargain for wages, benefits, and working conditions. This alone has led to better pay and equal treatment for women, who make up 80% of our education workforce. My union routinely goes to court and the labor board whenever our rights are violated. We've sued employers, agencies, and even governments to ensure that our rights are upheld and respected. My union steadfastly guards the interests of students, no matter where they come from, where they live, or how much money their families have. My union regularly organizes around our shared interess and with others and professionals who work on behalf of our school districts, towns, state, and the nation. And when our contracts are up, and when management treats us with contempt and defiance, we are among the only unions in the state to routinely say enough and hit the picket lines, as we've done since 1978. Since then, my fellow NEA members have gone on strike 27 times, including myself in 2005. As a union, it should be very clear that we don't back down from a fight. And as Americans and as Vermonters, we won't back down from this fight. Like you, I reveled in the huge protests last week. It was inspiring, engaging, and hopeful. But it's one thing to spend a Saturday morning protesting with friends and family. It's quite another to topple the regime that would destroy America. Labor unions are the embodiment of the First Amendment to the Constitution. The right to free speech, the right to free association, the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. Our unions have done so much to make our state and nation a better place. And we need to do it by organizing at every level. Let's take everything we learned today and get to work. And like we've done for almost 2 centuries, when we fight, we win.
All right, we're going to welcome Jayna from FreeHer, who's joining us real closely. Hey, friends.
Big girl, what's in my friend John's
Bill Bono back
Sophia Loren, country girl.
Come on, DJ,
DJ Bibliotech is having
mechanical difficulty.
There we are. Oh, no, it's okay. Go away. All right. Bye, sneak it up. All right, Jayna. Now we got you. All right, Bob was trying to take over.
No worries. Hello, everyone. My name is Jayna Ahsaf. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the organizers with FreeHer Vermont. We're a people-powered group of prison abolitionists fighting back against prison construction in Vermont and working to close our one women's prison in Vermont. I'm so sorry I can't be a person. I wish nothing more. but I'm not feeling well and do not want to put anyone at risk, especially our disabled community. But I extend my deepest gratitude to everyone coming together today to reflect on and strategize around the escalating conditions of our world. This type of care and acceptance of responsibility to help work through the crises we face sets the stage for lasting change. And it's essential to reflect on why we resist, because winning requires clarity, and it also requires tremendous sacrifice. A quote has been echoing through me, passed down, I believe, from ancestors who revolted against enslavement. There are worse things than death. What I hear in that is this: our fear of loss, whether it be jobs, relationships, safety, or even our own lives, is nothing compared to the cost of not fighting back. If fear paralyzes us, we risk losing any semblance of freedom, and worse, our humanity. What we're witnessing is the resurgence of the carceral state. This administration's work, both at home and abroad, is expanding systems of violence. ICE has received $30 billion for deportation operations and $45 billion for the creation of detention centers. Police repression is escalating and the National Guard is being deployed against our communities. These are not isolated incidents. They are coordinated strategies of containment and control. And Black and brown people bear the brunt of this as the primary targets of violence. This is clear with the administration's attacks on cities like New York, LA, and Chicago. We must resist this. And in Vermont, we see it in the push for a $97 million women's prison. While our system has one of the worst racial disparity rates regarding how many Black people we incarcerate and has been utilized for over 600 kidnappings of immigrants since January. We demand care, not cages, as resistance against the billionaire agenda, because we know prisons do not address the root causes of harm and instead perpetuate violence in our communities, serving as modern-day plantations, exploiting more than $11 billion of services and goods from incarcerated workers annually. This is a lucrative business, and the rich wish to enslave us by ensuring more of us become fodder for prisons. The Vermont Department of Corrections alone receives $189 million annually to lock up around 1,500 Vermonters. Imagine a world where that money would flow into life-affirming programming with proven results, like the Howard Center, Pathways Vermont, or Jenna's Promise. This would enable us to begin addressing what really leads people to incarceration, which more often than not is poverty, mental health, substance use, or a combination of all three. The prison industrial complex consisting of the military, ICE, prisons, and police must be abolished. The administration will not be able to carry out its sinister agenda without this interconnected system of violence. As many of us are pushed into poverty and criminalization, it is vital that our strategy of resistance includes abolition. Currently, 40 states are planning or actively constructing new prisons, signaling that our government will answer our calls of desperation with more violence and containment that must shape how we move forward. And remember that the abolitionist fight for racial justice and liberation is not separate from economic justice. It is central to working class resistance. The same systems that criminalize Black and brown bodies also exploit labor, suppress wages, and dismantle social safety nets. Our liberation is bound together, and our resistance must be too. History is doomed to repeat itself unless we stop relying on corrupt institutions that do not serve us. We rely on their resources because we are not yet organized enough to survive without them. It is imperative that this changes. We need the proliferation of mutual aid networks, cooperative businesses, wealth redistribution networks, and collectively owned housing. The mutual aid networks Vermont communities have been steadily building around climate resilience, and the circulation of food and other resources should be poured into by all of us. This is the future, and turning to community is the only solution. It's also important we build communities that disrupt capitalist ideas of who we're responsible for. By redefining family, creating cultures of mutual aid and cooperative economics, and fostering non-violent, consensual methods of accountability, we create a community wherein everyone thrives and is safe. This is truly how we win. I wish to leave you with hope before I close. The movement is currently celebrating the failed attempt to build a new prison in Essex. Challenge, reject, and zone request change that would allow the state to construct the prison there. So let this serve as a symbol that when we fight, we win. Assad Shakur reminds us, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. There were people involved in this effort at every level, from emailing to protesting to overall loving their community deeply enough to join a movement most deem ludicrous. So do not think your actions don't matter. Every act towards a better world plants a seed we will later sow. Many told us we did not have a chance, but we proved that when we have the will to fight, a passion and deep love for our community, and when we dare to dream of freedom, we will win. Thank you.
Wow, what a powerful way to start the day. Please give a final round for all of our panelists. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to this space. And our first breakout session starts at 10:45. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Jill, and I'm here at the People's Summit in Winooski, Vermont. This has been a really fascinating and really useful conference. I attended 3 excellent workshop sessions. One was run by primarily Cooperation Vermont, and it talked about how we need to do deep work in our communities, supporting each other to bring about the change that's needed in our society. And then I attended 2 sessions with Migrant Justice, and also with the Vermont Workers Center was also involved. And we also did some good analytical work of why our world is the way it is and what we need to do to bring about the change to make our society more healthy for everyone here.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Anthony, estoy representando a Justicia Migrante. Sobre este evento, pues la verdad fue muy importante para la gente migrantes, a los que realmente no conocemos nuestro derecho, y pues lo más importante que vi en este evento, pues conocí mucha gente que son importantes de sus opiniones que dieron en este evento, y pues fue muy divertido y fue muy importante para uno como migrantes y también uno como latinos. Y pues le agradezco a toda la gente pues de compartir cada uno las ideas, las opiniones de qué tanto hay riesgo en Vermont y qué se hace para que pueda cambiar esos problemas. Gracias.